Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
Many motorists when buying a new car are faced with the fact that the manufacturer at the bottom of the engine compartment usually installs only a plastic shield that covers its space from dirt. A logical question arises, does the car need a real engine crankcase protection or can it be driven without it? Purpose and design. Engine crankcase protection is a part made of metal or composite material, fiberglass, carbon or Kevlar, which covers the lower part of the engine compartment. It is attached to the elements of the car body, if so provided by the design. The crankcase and gearbox protection is designed to prevent impacts of the engine tray, gearbox crankcase on uneven road surface and stones that sometimes occur on the roadway. Since the engine crankcase pan, as well as the gearbox, is most often made of a steel sheet less than 1 mm thick, in most cases it cannot withstand a serious collision with an obstacle. It is impossible to drive the car after such an accident, because through the formed hole oil will leak out, and the unit, working without lubrication, will quickly become unusable. On a vehicle with a longitudinally mounted engine, as a rule, only the engine crankcase pan is closed. Since the clutch cover and the box are behind the engine, obscured by its sump. If the power unit has a transverse arrangement, then the crankcase protection together with the engine closes and the gearbox with the clutch housing. Structurally, any protection of the engine crankcase sump is a thick plate with brackets for fastening, having 1 or 2 holes for draining waste oil. If the engine layout does not allow removal and installation of the oil filter from above, the crankcase pan guard must have a hole for its replacement from below. Selection. In order to choose the right protection for your car, it is necessary to know the differences between seemingly similar products. Crankcase sump protectors of different manufacturers for a particular car model cannot differ significantly in their geometric dimensions. Except, perhaps, the thickness of the plate, which for products made of metals should not be less than 3 mm. So, choose only the material from which the engine crankcase protection is made. Pros and cons of metals that are most often used for manufacturing. Steel. Crankcase protection, made of steel, is found on sale most often. The advantages of the shield from this material: low cost, sufficient strength and rigidity, as well as good repairability. Disadvantages: heavy weight and poor resistance to corrosion. Aluminum. Pros of such a crankcase protection: low weight, excellent anti-corrosion resistance. Minuses: strength and rigidity leave much to be desired. Low repairability due to the fact that this metal can be welded only with a special welding machine using argon. Composites. The general properties of composite materials are high strength and low weight. However, despite the fact that the car crankcase protection can withstand a fairly significant load distributed over its area, a strong blow to one point usually punches a through hole in it. The thickness of the car engine protection from composites is usually from 8 to 12 mm, which is slightly more than from metals. Therefore, the gain in mass is not as great as it may seem at first glance. The ultimate parameters of each composite depend mainly on what fibers it is reinforced with. Below are a few examples of composite materials used to make car crankcase protection. Kevlar. It uses pararamid fibers for reinforcement. They have high strength and heat resistance, as well as a small specific weight. For example, the braking force of these fibers is from 280 to 550 kgf mm2, against 50 to 150 kgf mm2 for steel. And its density, about 1.5 tm3, is much lower than the same parameter of steel, which on average is equal to 7.8 tm3. The color of the crankcase protector made of this raw material is greenish-golden. This is the best and most expensive composite material for the manufacture of car engine crankcase pan protection. Carbon. It is reinforced with carbon fibers. They have a braking force of 250 to 500 kgf/mm2 with a density of 1.75 tm3. Fiberglass FRP, also called FRP. The glass fiber that makes up this material tears at a force of 170 kgf/mm2 and has a density of 2.52 tm3. Although its parameters are inferior to the previous two materials, they are still somewhat better than steel. And the cost of engine crankcase protection from this material is noticeably lower than from carbon or Kevlar. Lightweight engine crankcase protectors made of composites are installed more often on sports cars. Where there is no fight for seconds, steel products are suitable. Installation. Installing the protection, make sure that there is a gap of at least 2 cm between it and the pallet. Since the car engine is fixed on rubber metal cushions, and therefore inevitably oscillates when starting and stopping. If you drive the car with too small a distance between these parts, the pallet will contact the casing, causing vibrations and unnecessary noises. It is also possible to damage the oil pan, which on some modern autos is made of plastic. After that, of course, the oil will leak out through the formed hole. If after installing the protection when driving there are extraneous sounds, check if there are no traces of contact with the pallet on it, or if its fasteners are not loosened from vibration. Repair the steel pan guard is the best to repair. You can weld the mounting bracket that has broken off from it with a semi-automatic or with an ordinary MP3 electrode using a welding transformer or inverter. Paint it after the repair can be iron powder diluted with olive oil. It is inexpensive and will reliably protect the metal from corrosion. Especially carefully paint the welding seams. A trick to that the deformed steel shield can be used with an ordinary sledgehammer. Straighten the aluminum engine protection of the car is also not difficult, but welding this part will cost much more expensive than a steel product. But it is not necessary to paint it, since a strong oxide film is formed on the surface of aluminum, protecting this metal from corrosion. It is not worth trying to restore any composite protection after a breakage. It will not be able to regain its former strength. Paint it is also not necessary because it is not afraid of water, and the car after painting the engine protection will not look better. In conclusion, protecting the engine crankcase is essential for maintaining the longevity and performance of your vehicle. By investing in quality protection solutions, such as crankcase guards and regular maintenance, you can prevent costly repairs and ensure your engine operates smoothly. Remember, a well-protected crankcase not only enhances your vehicle's efficiency but also contributes to a safer driving experience. Thank you for watching, and be sure to prioritize your engine's health.